Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here, and we're back for another broadcast, another session of Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV. Of course, I've got my co-host and partner Abe Safa over here. Welcome, Abe.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, so it's interesting times right now, right? We've got the real estate market. It seems to be just really on a roll, but at the same token, from a local level, we're having an increase in COVID-19 cases, which, of course, we're not specialists in COVID-19 cases or COVID-19, the subject or the topic, but we can share a little bit of information as to how. What are we seeing in the real estate industry as we're seeing COVID cases increase a little bit? So first of all, tell me a little bit about not necessarily the data, but what are you seeing in the market right now? How are things going, Abe?
Yeah, man, things are just really busy. Record level of showings, record level of offers coming in. When we look at the numbers later on in this call, we're going to see the number of pendings continues to go up. So even last week when we did this, I really thought that that number was solid, the highest number I've seen in a very long time, and it actually went up again since last week. So the market is super active right now. Even the condos, you'll be surprised when you see those numbers, how the condo market has also taken off as well.
Yeah. So I think one thing, Abe, that I'm experiencing, because you and I, even though we're doing these broadcasts and we're sharing this information out to the public, you and I are active real estate agents that are practicing, that are out there helping buyers and sellers every day. So we're on the ground level in the trenches with buyers and sellers doing business. I would say for myself, and just wonder what you're thinking. It seems like there's a lot of confidence and a lot of optimism in the market right now. And I'm not saying that's a negative or a positive, but I'm just experiencing when I'm talking with sellers, there's a lot of confidence in that conversation that we're going to be able to get the property sold, that they're going to make this move, that they're going to be able to get the price that they want. There's a lot of optimism that I'm seeing, and they're saying, hey, look, I think this market is going to continue to do well into the future, that this might not be just a little bit of a hiccup or a short period of good times. It is probably going to last a while. But I'm seeing or experiencing optimism and confidence. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. So if we go back to when we first shut down here at the beach, when COVID first started happening, and then we shut everything down for a couple of weeks, there was a lot of uncertainty, right? So back then, the whole conversation was, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long we're going to be shut down. We don't know how it's going to impact prices, right? So a lot of people were concerned. There's just uncertain times, fear possibly with a lot of people. But then it seems like as soon as the beaches opened up, so 3.5 weeks ago, it kind of feels like everything just went back to normal as far as activity, right? Even like, let's focus on the condo market. So even the condo market, I had so many people call me when they heard that the condos and the hotels were shut down, like just scared about what's going to happen to my value on the condos.
Yes.
But then as soon as we open back up, and then the rentals all of a sudden got booked, and these units get booked together, it kind of feels like, wow, okay, now it went from fear and uncertainty to like you said, optimism, confidence, and then couple that with what's happened in the stock market, with the stock market rebounding as well back to pretty much what it was before it took a dive. So I think the two things combined, people are definitely a lot more confident, optimistic about the whole real estate market in general. So
yeah,
I think I'm in full agreement with you on that one. I think you're spot on.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, so I'm glad that we're experiencing the same thing. So restaurants, reclosures, and that was something that I never really thought of. But for those of you that may be watching our broadcast from out of the area, you may not know that there have been some restaurants that have decided to close. I don't believe it's law that they have to close, but there's been some situations where some of the wait staff or staff in general have tested positive for COVID-19, and the restaurants decided that they'd go ahead and close. And usually what their routine is they close, they send everybody home, they come in and hire companies to do some thorough cleanings, they have people get tested, make sure that their staff is healthy, which staff is healthy, which might be unhealthy, and then they kind of reopen with a healthy staff and a clean restaurant. So we are going through some of those things. This last 4 or 5 days, it seems like every day there's been a new restaurant that has announced that they're closing. The temporary, they will be just doing that temporary, and they'll open back up. And there are a few restaurants that have also announced that they've had a positive case, but they because maybe they're only doing takeout and delivery or drive-through, then they've elected to not close, but just go ahead and do a thorough cleaning overnight and continue to stay open. So how, do you think that we're going to have any of this is going to impact the real estate market? And before you say that, I do have a Facebook page called Myrtle Beach Visitors that has over 400,000 people that follow that page. And I have put some information, just some alerts as to, the reclosures. And it's interesting to see the diversity in their responses. Some people are going to get political, of course, which we're never going to do. Some people are going to say, that give opinions on how things should be handled and whatnot. But I will say, for the most part, people are still going to come down, but it seems like they're going to be very cautious through their vacation. Maybe eat more in their condo more so than frequent restaurants and the different attractions. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So obviously, as more people are coming into town, we're definitely seeing a spike in number of positive cases. I was looking at DHEC. I checked this number daily. So yesterday, over 4,339 people got tested, and 13.7% came up positive. So we are seeing some high numbers relative to what we've been used to, but I think everybody expected that. So as you get more people in town, more people are gathering close together, we're going to see cases go up. So based on how that continues, if all of a sudden now we start being designated as a hotspot nationally, and then we start hitting the national media, that could impact visitors, and that again could put us back into a scenario where we go back to uncertainty again.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to tell. Yes, some restaurants have closed down, but I think we all expected some positive cases, and what they're doing is, as a precaution, they get a positive case, they're shutting down, cleaning up, testing everybody, and then opening back up again in most cases. But it's summertime. I mean, middle of June right now, this is peak season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it was a difficult call to make back in March, I can imagine how difficult it is now for the business owner, for the city to make a decision as to shut things down. I don't know if it'll get to that, but if all of a sudden we start seeing some really high numbers, we don't know where it's going to go at that point.
Yeah, I know for myself, yesterday I had an appointment to meet with a property owner who was going to hire me to sell their property. And my appointment was at 3:00 in the afternoon. And around 1:00, I got a phone call from them. And apparently their wife has a friend that she walks around the community on a daily basis, kind of like a little workout partner that walks the community. And their friend had tested positive. And so therefore, technically the seller, the wife, the seller was exposed to a positive case. So therefore they called and canceled the appointment. I'm very thankful that they did that. But little things like that are happening. I think you had a scenario too, Aiden.
Yeah, I did. We actually put a bunch of properties on the contract the last 3 or 4 days. But yesterday specifically, we put a condo on the contract. And this morning I get an email. They were supposed to send proof of funds. It was a cash purchase. And the financial advisor for the buyer kind of put his foot down and said, "No, I don't think you should be buying this based on what's happening." So we've got a buyer that's going to be backing out of a deal. So we went from uncertainty to a lot of confidence. If we start seeing cases rising, we could well get back into a time of uncertainty. I'm still excited that things are really good, things are busy, but I would not be surprised if all of a sudden we see things start to slow down a little bit as well, especially going what happens with the cases. If that continues to go up, we could see a slowdown.
Yeah, and the good thing is we'll keep our eyes on it, and because we're in the trenches with clients all the time, we'll be the first to let people know. But in my opinion, one of the things that this has just reminded me of, and I'm sure you, is just to reevaluate how we're approaching meeting with clients, having clients in the office, et cetera. And we're just kind of updating all of our procedures to make sure that we provide the most safe and sanitized, environment we can throughout the process. So tell us about the market, though. What's going on with the numbers?
Yeah, so let's pull up the housing numbers.
Oh my gosh! Every single week, this number is going up.
Yeah. So 42.72% of every home on the market right now is under contract. This is across the board, resales and new construction. So that's a strong number. Looking at resales alone, that the percentage itself dipped a little bit. The number of pendings went up, right? But what that's a function of is we saw an influx of some homes hitting the market in this past week. So inventory went up a little bit. It's still really low. It's not something that I would consider a significant change as far as the numbers. But it dipped a little bit because even though more homes went pending, more homes hit the market this past week. But that's still a really strong number. Anything close to 40% is super strong. That's on the resale side. We look at new construction. There's nothing slowing that one down. That keeps going up. Again, I'm getting calls now. So developers are looking for some tracts of land that they can subdivide and build communities on. But I'm also starting to see developers buy individual lots. So that's something that we haven't seen in a very long time, right? Probably since the market crash of 2008. Now developers are going and actually doing custom built homes on individual lots. So I'm seeing more offers on land, which we haven't seen in a long time. It still hasn't been enough demand to drive up prices on the land market. That's kind of been pretty flat still, but we are starting to see some attention on that. So I thought that was interesting to see.
A little side note on that is, back in 2006, we actually started seeing builders do this. Okay. And in 2007, and one of the reasons is like by the time they buy a tract of land, and they go through the county and the city to get all their approvals, get rezoning, go through the planning commission, put all the roads in, the water, the sewer, the cable, build the roads, et cetera, the retention ponds. I mean, from the beginning to just the start of when they can start building a home vertically, that could be that could be a year. So what they're seeing is that there's such a high demand for real estate right now that what these builders are doing is saying, hey, look, we would rather pay a couple more dollars for a finished lot that we could be building on within the next 2 weeks than actually wait for our land to be ready to build within a year. Because what will happen is they'll run out of their existing inventory, and then they'll have a gap where they have no inventory to sell until they can get all the infrastructure in. So what this is doing is bridging a gap between their own personal inventory needs and the time that they can launch new communities. So that's usually what's going on when we start to see this.
Yeah, and land values as far as lots is so depressed right now. They're really not paying much of a premium.
Yeah.
Right. So they can actually cherry pick what community they want to be in and go cherry pick the lot that they want as well.
Yeah.
Which makes their home a lot more sellable.
The price a little bit. Like it would be interesting if you ever do track land, which we don't track it as much. But if we were to track land, with this happening right now, we'll probably see that these percentages of pendings to the ones that are listed will probably increase a little bit more. And that might push up the price, probably not too aggressively, but we may see a little bit better price over the rest of this year right now until they put themselves in a position where they have plenty of land themselves. Then they'll stop doing that. And then all of a sudden we could see some of the gains that we make in the land, there could be a little bit of a pullback. So if you do have a lot right now, you may want to consider giving us a call. We can talk about the pricing and see if that might be desired by a builder, because they may pay you a little bit more than a buyer would have paid, a couple months ago.
Yeah, and starting next week, I'll also put up a chart as far as the land pendings as well, and we could kind of talk about that briefly.
And to look at that.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as let's go into the condo market. Now this is a really strong number, right? So anytime we break 30%, that's a very strong number. So that's 30% of every single condo on the market is under contract right now. Significant change over the last 4 weeks, like huge difference. But so that means that the buyers are here, the market is really active, and they're buying condos.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
that is it's amazing. And I think with condos, the one distinction between a condo and a home is a home is typically it doesn't always have to be a primary residence, but for the case of this discussion, most of the time we live in our homes and we vacation in our condos. Okay. So that makes condos more of a discretionary type product. It's a product kind of like like a boat, like a really nice luxury car, a nice handbag. It's like when things are going good, when I feel confident in my financial position, I tend to go out there and spend on things that I want. But when we're not feeling that confident, then we tend to only spend money on what we need. So condo is a discretionary product. And so when we see increases in the condo market improving and doing as well as it is, that is a good indication that there's a lot of confidence in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, but that can I don't want to be a pessimist here, but I like to look at everything, and that can easily turn at the drop of a dime. There's just so much right now that's happening, and again, most of it is dependent on two things: COVID and also the economy.
Yeah.
So that can change on us. Hopefully, it won't. Hopefully, things will keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Even the oceanfront condos.
Yeah.
Look at those numbers. I mean, 18.45%, huge difference there than where we were. A few 4 or 5 weeks back.
And you said, I surely don't think you're a pessimist at all. And one of the things that I hear is in your comment there is the condo market, discretionary market. It's subject to more volatility.
Right.
I mean, we don't know what kind of hurricane season we're going to have, but the hurricane season sometimes can actually impact the sales, not just for the week that the hurricane's here, but some people will actually lose confidence. And when they lose confidence, then they say, hey, either I won't buy or maybe I should sell. So there's just a lot more volatility. It's kind of like in the stock market, it's sometimes looked at more of a penny stock versus a blue chip.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean
volatility.
Yeah, volatility. Yeah, so again, I typically don't like to give advice on these shows, right? Because each person's got a unique scenario. But if it were me, if I owned a property here in the market and I had a condo that I wasn't using, that was purely as an investment property, I really would be looking to sell right now.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the activity that's out there. Get ahead and get it sold. If you're not using it, now if you've got a different scenario where you use it a lot and you enjoy it, you and your family, then no need to do anything.
Abe, maybe in a future discussion, we could talk about the difference between selling and repositioning.
Yeah.
And I'll touch on that just briefly, just to kind of make sure I plant a seed in everyone's mind. Is when you said if you got a condo and you're not using it, so you're not getting a lot of emotional value out of it, you're not using it, and maybe it's not performing that well, it's not giving you a good return, and maybe it's paying for itself, but you're really not making money off of it. What you may want to do is consider reposition it, where you take your equity out of that, reposition it somewhere else, whether it be in a single family home, a multifamily property, a property closer that's easier to manage up in wherever you may live, and all you're really doing is just repositioning your asset, your money, your cash into a different investment that might pay a better return and maybe reduce the exposure to any volatility that or undesired or unwanted volatility that may exist. So I think that would be a good conversation to kind of show homeowners or condo owners, to talk with them about the conversation on how to sometimes increase their ROI with the equity that they have positioned in their condos.
Yeah, that'd be a great conversation. I think it'd be very helpful.
Good.
But that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the market's still active. Just to recap, market's really active. COVID cases are starting to rise here. It's a little bit concerned. But everything, condos, homes, even land, they're all selling right now.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, of course, for those of you that are tuning in, I hope that you're enjoying, the information that we're bringing. We're trying to just bring facts to the table, discuss them in hopes that our audience will be the most informed audience, in the industry. And you can reach out to myself or Abe. Our contact information's right there. We are active real estate agents that sell well over 100 plus properties each. So not combined, we're individuals. So we feel like we're very qualified, and we're at least willing to answer any questions that you might have, no matter what position you're in. If you're thinking about buying and selling, or just want to know an update as to what's going on in the market, please reach out to us.
Absolutely. All right, Greg. Well,
Okay.
good talking to you. Thank you all for watching.
All right. We'll see you all next week.
See ya.